Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Nick Beasley Show. My podcast co-host Rodney has rejoined us after a couple months off. We are getting back into the NFL, and guys, all I'm going to say is these first 2 days of mandatory minicamp stuff have been very, very interesting. Let's start with
Hmm?
yesterday. We had a story where Jair Alexander, all-pro cornerback from the Green Bay Packers, was released. He is only 27, I think. Now, it was reported that he was released due to the fact that they just didn't feel like he was worth what he was asking for because of his production on the field, of him not being able to be on the field. Not saying that he's a bad player, but his eligibility on the field just wasn't enough to pay him what he was asking for on his extension, so they released him. He's not signed yet with a team, but I'm pretty sure I have an idea what team he might go to, and I'll be honest, I will find it very funny if he does, and I kind of hope he does.
Yeah, it's just very weird that a two-time Pro Bowler and someone that's been an All-Pro, and he's still young. He's in his late 20s. I'm surprised he got released and cut. Now, I heard some stories that it was either his injury history or it had something to do with the suspension that he had got, I believe, this previous year. It could be that, or they probably just thought that he was a cancer to the team. Because you look back to the suspension that he had, I think it was 2024 this previous season. I think it
I think
was
it was
something
23.
about
I think the suspension was 23 because he
it
was
was something
injured
that
for most of the
the
year.
what wasn't it something about it was detrimental to the team or something like that when he was suspended.
Yeah,
I think
so when the team suspended him, not the NFL, but they suspended him right before the Vikings game, which was a game they had to win to make the playoffs. Um, they didn't win it, and I think a lot of that was because like people were like, "Well, Jair not being on the field against Justin Jefferson was the biggest reason why they didn't." And look, when Jair is on the field, he's exceptional. He's great,
right.
but he had the incident in Carolina where he I can't. He inserted himself as team captain. He said the guys backed him as he went out there to do the coin toss, and he almost screwed up the coin toss because when they asked him, do you want to kick or receive and which way, he goes, I want defense, which which that, and effectively he's saying we want to kick off, but the defense option, which most refs don't even give you, is both halves you're starting without the ball. So, which most refs don't even give you. But he goes, I want defense. And then when everybody started laughing at him, and the ref's like, so you want to kick off? He goes, pretty obvious what I said. Like, I want our defense out there. Like, dude, Jair Alexander is hilarious. I love him as a fan. And he's a great player. But I can see where the Packers were like, yeah, you can't do that. And then when it came out that the reason he inserted himself team captain, because they announced 3 captains for the game. Jair was out there as the 4th captain for the Packers, but he was
Hmm.
like, I don't think Coach knew I was from Charlotte. Like, I'm from that area. Like, I don't think Coach knew. Coach LaFleur probably knew it. He probably didn't want you out there. But he goes, the guys backed me. And I think when that came out, then obviously the president, Mark Murphy, and Brian Gutekunst was like, this is like legit. Was he said the guys backed him? Well, it's a good thing they backed him because we have to suspend him now. Because if we let this slide, then other players are going to want to do it. And like
Right.
on the Pat McAfee show, they were talking about it, and I remember seeing it, and they were like, the kickoff is like a big deal because like the coach will go, the head coach usually goes to the guys that he's picked to be team captains and talks to them. He also goes to the kicker and the punter of like, hey, if we win this, which way do you want to kick? And nobody had talked to Jair. He just went out there and not only was inserted himself as captain, he spoke, which normally it's decided amongst the 3 captains who's going to speak. And I guess everybody's like out there, they're like, I guess Jair was a late addition. I don't know. Like, to me, that's so funny. Like, the fact that Jair Alexander was like, the guy's backed me.
But
And
now
when the media
but
asked him, like, do you realize you made a mistake? He was like, what'd I do? I said defense.
you called the wrong thing. That's what you did, and you almost cost your team very big playing time because if you kick the ball the first half and the second half, that momentum is going to change for your team.
Exactly. Dude, it's so you gotta go. I don't know if you've seen it, but you gotta go watch the Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk and JJ Watt and all them reacting to it. Dude, it's so funny. I'll send you the video. It's so funny. They were like, the guy's backed me. And like, for AJ though, he's a former Packer, so he knows like how that organization is when it comes to like taking that stuff seriously. And he's like, what is he talking about? The guy's backed me. What do you mean they backed me? Like, that's not something you do. And I get it. Like, when you're in your hometown, normally you are a captain. But normally, though, it's like the star defensive player, the quarterback, and either a receiver or a running back or a center.
Right.
Like, normally. And I get it. Jair was probably the star defensive player. But they probably didn't want him speaking. If I was them, I would. They probably picked a former Panther to be the third captain or something, which does happen when you play against your former team.
Right.
But it's just, to me, dude, that's so funny that happened. And then, like, now he's getting released. So obviously that does suck that he's getting released. But at the same time, hey, the guys backed him then. Are they going to back him now and bring him back?
but now that he's been cut, now the question is, what team is going to take the chance on Jair Alexander? What team is going? I got one. So think about it. So this team already has a top 5 defense, and they already got a great corner. Imagine if they put Jair Alexander on the other side. That defense may be a top 3 defense, maybe even be number 1 because they were top 5 last year behind a team such like the Eagles. And going into this season, this will give you the answer. This team has the reigning defensive player of the year. The Denver Broncos with Patrick Surtain Jr.
No, no, that's not the team I'm thinking, and here's why. There is no way in hell Sean Payton is putting Patrick Surtain Jr. and Jair Alexander on the same team. They would end up in a fight. They would end up in a fist fight in the locker room. Because Patrick is so buttoned up and serious, and Jair, the guy's backed him. He makes himself team captain. Like, what are we talking about? No. Plus, the Broncos don't need another corner. But you know who does need another corner? And I really want him to go to this team. Just honestly, just to see Packers fans like depressed. There's 3 teams I'm thinking of, but
I think I know. Yep.
The Minnesota Vikings.
That's the team I was thinking that you were going to say.
They need another corner. Jair is friends with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. They have a young quarterback, so they need a better defense anyway. And remember, they lost Byron Murphy to, I believe, the Colts. They lost him to somebody, I think. I think it was the Colts. I know they lost a player to the Colts. I can't remember if it was Byron Murphy or not.
And Minnesota needs a defense because they already got a top offense with arguably the best receiving duo in the league, so they need defense.
I wouldn't say the best receiving duo because obviously the Eagles are the best receiving duo, but I would say one of. Maybe like top 4.
You could maybe argue top 3. Top 3.
I would put, because I think George Pickens is a better player than Jordan Addison, so I'd put the Cowboys at top 3.
Well, the reason why I say them because this is a duo that's done something, that's proven something, that's established. I understand what you're saying about CD and George Pickens, but this receiving duo is established. And like I said,
Yeah,
you got arguably the best receiver in the league right now in Justin Jefferson. So that's why I say they're top three with,
yeah.
with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Devonta Smith and AJ Brown.
But again, though, like, and look, I want to see him go to the Vikings. So for the sheer fact that he'll have to play the Packers twice a year and make that, and then he can make them pay for not wanting to pay him.
Right.
If he stays healthy, I don't know if he's going to be. I think he's healthy now, but if he stays healthy, then he'll be good. But there's two other teams I'm thinking of: the Pittsburgh Steelers, to put him opposite of Joey Porter Jr. and have him on the same defense as Minkah Fitzpatrick and Patrick Queen, because those guys will keep him in check. Tomlin has dealt with, let's say, dramatic players in the past. And
the history has not been good, though. It hasn't been good, though.
Hold on, though. And Aaron Rodgers likes Jair Alexander. Because Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay when Jair was there.
Right.
So why not bring over another Packer? But
who's
also
number three?
The Rams. The Rams.
The Rams.
Because here's the thing. They've been in the market for a corner. They've been in the rumors to be getting Jalen Ramsey back from the Dolphins, which as a Dolphins fan, I just want it done. Whether he's going to stay or go, I just want it done. I'm so tired of hearing about it.
He's getting traded.
I hope so. I'm tired of it. I'm honestly tired of hearing about it. I'd rather not have him on the team at this point. He wants to go, get it done and go. But Jair Alexander, you get him. You don't have to give up anything except for some money.
Right.
Because you don't have to trade for him. So, and he's younger than
28.
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
So,
who's in his 30s, yeah.
Yeah. And you have another corner opposite of him. So, I think, and you have a really good pass rush with Jared Verse and Braden Fisk on that defensive line. So you add another corner to that defense, plus your offense is going to be stellar with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Matthew Stafford. The Rams, I think, are a legit threat this year. If they add an all-pro like Jair Alexander for whatever the minimum is for a corner, I've got no problem with that. And I think he would thrive in McVay's defense. And I also think he'd thrive being around like Stafford and like Devontae, because Devontae was also with the Packers when Jair got drafted.
Right.
But also, you look at Jair, his best years was when he had Aaron Rodgers. He had Devontae in the locker room. He had that veteran presence there. Once the team became a younger team and he was looked at more as the vet and the leader, is when all the stuff started to happen of the guys backed me and making myself team. Yeah, I can't say it without laughing. So I think going to a situation like that would be better. Because yes, you have veterans in Minnesota, but you have a rookie quarterback essentially. And so you have Justin Jefferson there. But
you got a point. You got a point there. It's probably best for him to go to a team that has like a veteran quarterback who's established. And two teams that you said, they're not only are they veteran quarterbacks, they're Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, the Rams and the Steelers. So that's another thing to think about as well.
You look at the Rams and you look at the Steelers. The Steelers have a veteran defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Patrick Queen, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward.
When he gets
those
signed,
guys aren't going to take any crap.
We're going to mention him later. Yeah. We're going to mention him later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yep.
But Watt and Cam Hayward and Joey Porter Jr. is not a veteran, but like those guys don't take any crap off of anybody though. Like you're not going to walk in that locker room day one and be like, "I'm team captain," because Minkah will probably punch you in the face. Like Minkah was that way at Alabama all the years he was there. He was like, I'm a leader. Like he was a
Right.
leader.
Right.
So I think going to a veteran led defense is the best place for him. And look, LA, that you got a veteran, you got a Super Bowl winning head coach in LA. You've got a veteran led offense, a young defense that has some vets on it,
Right.
and you're in one of the best situations in the NFC and can actually go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With the Vikings, they're really good, but you may not win a Super Bowl. With the
Not
Steelers,
yet.
they're
Not yet.
with the Steelers, they're good, but we already know how this season ends with them.
Right.
And
Average at best.
If you're Jair Alexander, you also have to look at it. This could be your last opportunity to get a big contract if you play well.
Right.
Because if you get hurt or you don't play well, then no team is going to want to get you in free agency next year.
Right.
So I would take a 1 year prove it deal with the Rams where you're not going to be asked to do much. Same with the Steelers. But if you want to win a Super Bowl, I'd say go to the Rams because you probably have the best chance of winning the Super Bowl on the NFC side, or at least making it to the Super Bowl on the NFC side.
Right.
But let's get away from Jair Alexander. Let's talk about year two quarterback expectations. For me, I look at Caleb Williams and his situation. I look at Drake May and his situation.
Right.
I'm not counting JJ McCarthy. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
I know he's not, but he was injured. We don't know what he's going to be. I'm not counting him on this list. Bo Nix and his situation. Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
So just out of those four guys, and if I missed one, let me know. I don't think I did, though. Did I miss one?
No, I think you're straight. Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix. No. There's one more. Michael Penix.
Yeah, Penix, yeah.
Michael Penix.
For me, so let's start with Caleb. First year under Ben Johnson in this new offense, but he has an offensive line. He has established weapons. Yep. They've got a defense again in Chicago.
Yep.
I expect, because I don't think the Packers are going to be as good as what everybody else thinks they are. And I don't think the Lions are going to be as good as everybody else thinks they are, because they lost both coordinators and they lost their center to retirement. So I think that the Bears could, I'm not saying win the division, because I think it's the Vikings division to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
If JJ plays well, I think it's the Vikings division to win, because I think they've got the best overall team.
Right.
But I'd say second place in the division is not a stretch to say that the Bears can be second place in the division, be a wild card team. Because you look at the Lions, yes, they are elite on defense, but they got a lot of question marks. Like, one, what's Aiden Hutchinson going to be when he gets back? The rest of that defense, they got injured. What are they going to be? When are they going to get back? For the offense, is Jared Goff going to be able to be Jared Goff that we've seen in the last few years without Ben Johnson? I think this is a prove-it year for Jared Goff. I think it's a prove-it year for Dan Campbell, that they can show, hey, we can thrive with, it's not just Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. It's, we know what we're doing.
Right. And with Jared Goff, this is like, if you look at the season that Jared Goff is going into, this is a season where he doesn't have like a top flight offensive mind as like a coordinator or a coach. Because when you look at when he was with the Rams, who did he have as his head coach? Sean McVay, who is a offensive guru. Then with Detroit, who did he have as his offensive coordinator? Ben Johnson, who's an offensive guru who picked the strengths of Jared Goff and enhanced it. Because if you look at Jared Goff, what was his number one strength when he's a quarterback? Quick release. He gets the ball out quick. He takes less than 4 seconds to get the ball out quickly. Because if you look at some of the highlights of Jared Goff, his strengths and a lot of his passes were quick and timed. If you get him in the pocket, most times he struggles. Most times.
Yeah.
And I think with Ben Johnson now with the Chicago Bears, if you look at with Caleb Williams, what was his struggle? In the pocket for a long time.
Timing.
That's
Timing.
that's why that's why he was a top five most sacked quarterback last season. So now you
Well,
got
there's that, and also
the
there's
offensive
that, but
line.
there's also the O line was bad, and I mean he admitted like he didn't know what he was doing. Nobody was telling him how to be a quarterback. They weren't coaching him. They were hoping that he knew what he was doing without teaching it to him. That's the problem they ran into.
But now he got
Nobody
it.
taught that kid how to be an NFL quarterback. Because
But now he does. Now he does.
because all those coaches cared about that year was him saving their jobs. They didn't care about him being developed.
But now he has no excuse.
So
He has
for
no
Caleb,
excuse now.
no, because Ben Johnson doesn't care. Ben Johnson's going to be there whether Caleb is there or not. Because Ben's a
Right.
good coach.
Right.
I don't see Ben Johnson like something insane would have to happen for Ben Johnson to get fired. In like I'd say the first 2 years.
Right.
And I mean like Caleb looks awful and the offense itself like they're worse than they were under who was their coach last year?
I don't even remember his name. He got fired in the middle of the season.
Yeah, bro. I don't remember that, bro. He gone.
Now I'll say with the year two quarterbacks, another one that I'm really going to look forward to besides Caleb, me being from Atlanta, obviously I'm going to look at Michael Penix because
See,
here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. I really think, like I said last year, it was a stupid idea to sign Kirk Cousins to that $180 million contract to begin with. And from what we saw from Michael Penix, I think he's going to be solid. He's got a good arm. He does have some athleticism on him, and he's got some weapons. He's got Drake London. He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got the running backs as well with Bijan Robinson. He's got some weapons. He's got some talent. And what was the other receiver from Chicago? From Chicago as well. What was his name? The receiver. Darnell Mooney.
Moore?
Darnell Mooney. Darnell.
No, I thought you were talking about a Chicago receiver now.
No. He was in Chicago, but now he's at Atlanta. Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, he came over with the trade. Yeah.
So he's got some weapons. So, and I think now that he's the full-time starter, I think he'll be solid. I think he'll be all right. But I think the best might be Caleb. The worst, hear me out, the worst year two quarterback, yes, I'm going to be careful. And I hate to say this because he went to my favorite college, Jaden Daniels.
Oh, okay.
Because if
so
you look at the rookie season that he had, who had a similar rookie season to that? C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had a.
Hold on. To be fair, Cliff Kingsbury is a better play caller than what C.J. Stroud had in Houston. He is. Just straight up. He's a better play caller.
But he had an MVP season.
In Washington, the offensive line in Washington is better than what C.J. had year two. And this is the most important part. Well, this could change, but I don't think it will. If Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are both on the field, that's a better receiving duo than what CJ had year two in Houston. Now, that could change if Terry McLaurin doesn't get paid
Another
and he's
name.
asked to sit out.
Another name.
But I think Washington's going to be fine. They got a lot of pieces on defense again. Dan Quinn is a good head coach. He's a more experienced head coach than I am blanking
Raheem.
on Houston's coach's name. What's
Raheem.
his name?
Raheem. Atlanta is Raheem.
No, I'm talking about Houston, their head coach.
Oh, it's
He played at Bama too. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name.
and he used to play for the Texans. D'Amico Ryan.
Yeah. Dan Quinn's a more experienced head coach than D'Amico was. Dan Quinn has dealt with the year 2 quarterbacks, Matt Ryan. So I think Jaden will be fine. Here's who I think might have the biggest drop off in year 2. And I hate to say this because I really do like him.
Bo Nix.
I'm not saying Bo. Bo is going to be MVP. You mark my words. June 10th, 2025. I'm saying it right now. Bo Nix will be the MVP. Super Bowl winner too. He's going to take out Mahomes. It's going to be a whole thing.
Get on with your quarterback. Who is going to be the worst?
Year 2, it's going to be Drake May. And here's why. Mike Vrabel is the brand new head coach there. That offensive line is still not great. And I don't trust Josh McDaniels. I don't trust Josh McDaniels with anybody not named Brady. Because outside of Tom Brady, Josh McDaniels has ruined quarterbacks. And I think the only reason he didn't ruin Brady was because Brady would tell him, hey, shut up. We're doing it my way.
Let's see. Cam Newton, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cam Newton, Kyle Orton in Denver.
Mac Jones.
Jacoby Brissett.
Whoever his quarterbacks were when he was with the Raiders, when he was the head coach.
Derek Carr.
Yep, and now Derek Carr's retired. So I don't trust Josh McDaniels to be able to coach Drake May. Now if Mike Vrabel, stands there, if he stands there in the meeting room and he tells Josh, hey, if you call a play and it's stupid, I'm gonna punch you in the face and we're gonna let me call plays, then I might trust New England a little bit more. But I'm not gonna say that Drake May is gonna have a good season because outside of Stephon Diggs, can you name me one receiver on that team?
I can tell you who they should have got. I can tell you that.
I didn't ask for that. I said, out of Stephon Diggs, can you tell me one receiver on the team? I can name one.
No.
I can name one. And it's only because I saw him play at LSU.
No.
Kayshon Boutte. He's the only one I can name outside of Stephon Diggs. But I don't trust McDaniels at all. I trust Mike Vrabel. And again, if Mike Vrabel gets permission from Robert Kraft, which I think Robert is going to give Vrabel, let him do whatever he wants because of how much he loves Mike Vrabel. If Mike Vrabel goes up to Josh McDaniels and says, I will punch you in the fucking face and knock your ass out if you call stupid plays, then I think we have a chance. But I don't I think the team will be better because I think their defense will be better. But I don't see Drake May taking that big jump year 2. So I agree with you. I think the best one will be Caleb.
Yeah.
And then Drake May will be the worst.
We're going to have to see about that.
I'm not counting JJ McCarthy because he didn't play last year.
Right.
So there's nothing from last year that we can look at and say he needs to improve on other than let's not get injured in the first preseason game.
Right.
Like that's literally the only thing we can be like, let's not get him injured. How about that? And then we're good. But Let's get into the next storyline, though.
I know what
I'm
this
very excited
is.
about.
I got a lot to
Rookie
talk about
quarterback.
with this one. I
So
got a lot.
I'm going to give you my list on the rookie quarterbacks to watch this summer.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders is number 1 because I think he'll be the starter. I think he will.
I got a
he
lot
ends
to
up being
say.
the starter. Yeah,
I got
I
a
think he
lot
ends
to
up being the
say.
starter in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Will Howard at number 2 for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
And here's why.
Really?
Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers will be benched by the middle of the season. And I think Will Howard will have won the job as the number 2 over Mason Rudolph. I think Will is a better quarterback. He's a lot like Big Ben in the sense of how he moves and his throwing. So I think he will, if not this year, next year, Will be the starter. I know Aaron's there, and Tomlin's already said that Aaron gets the job. It's Aaron's job, and Will and Mason will battle for number 2. I think Will will be the number 2. I think with what they've seen of Mason Rudolph, they cannot trust him.
I don't trust him either. I don't.
Especially if you're playing the Browns and Myles Garrett is near you and decides to rip your helmet off of your head and hit you with it, which was very funny. Glad he's okay, but it was very funny when it happened. I would say Shedeur and then Will Howard. And then also, I think this is someone that people are not talking enough about. And I saw him at the Senior Bowl. I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. Riley Leonard. I don't think people realize Riley could win that quarterback competition in Indianapolis. He could be the starter. Because think about it.
You talk about the Notre Dame? You talk about the Notre Dame quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson's dealing with the shoulder injury, so he's going to be out for mandatory minicamp and possibly the start of training camp.
And I don't trust Daniel Jones.
We know the book on Jones. We know the book on Daniel Jones. Riley Leonard fits Shane Steichen's offense exactly what he wants him to do. Riley Leonard is athletic. He can move around in the pocket, but he can also throw the piss out of a football. I don't think Anthony Richardson can do that, and I don't think Daniel Jones is big enough to be able to do what Steichen wants him to do. I think Riley could end up winning the job and being the starter for the Colts.
Well, Anthony Richardson can do that. That's why he was drafted in the top 5, because he could throw the hell out of a football.
But here's the thing,
it's up here.
He was drafted in the top 5 because of his athletic ability.
Right. He was raw.
But here's the thing, though. Riley's a more polished player already. He's got more reps under his belt from college, and he's a more experienced player and more polished.
Unlike Anthony Richardson.
He fits. Riley Leonard is very similar to Jalen Hurts. And that I think he can work in any offense, but his athletic ability and his size is going to be what puts him over the top. And I truly believe Riley can become the starter in Indianapolis. Now, I don't know if he will, because I don't know. I know Jim Irsay loved him, but I don't know if the rest of the Irsay family loved him. And by the way, RIP to Jim. They made the transition, and the daughters are going to be the owners now. So I don't know how much they're going to play a role in who starts, because obviously Daniel's making the most on the 1-year deal at $14 million. Anthony, they've already seen. The thing is, they've already seen what Anthony can do in the offense. But also, it goes back to like Jair.
I think he might get cut. Man,
here's my thing. Jair Alexander is a really good player when he's on the field, but his issue is health and not being able to stay on the field. Right. Anthony Richardson is a really good player when he's on the field, except for when he's tired in the third quarter and has to tap out.
I wouldn't say he's really good. I wouldn't say he's really good. I wouldn't say that.
He's good enough.
Okay.
But he's also never healthy. And they've already seen him in the third quarter of a football game tap his helmet and go sit down.
Right.
Because he was tired. And then he admitted to the media that he was tired.
Well, There's
I think
one
Anthony has shown that he's lazy.
there's one rookie quarterback that you don't need to worry about. Like out of all the rookie quarterbacks, what are you saying about Anthony Richardson? There's one you don't need to worry about, and there's really not much to say
Cam
about
Ward.
him. Obviously, Cam Ward,
Cam Ward.
the
Yeah,
number
because
one
Cam's
pick.
got everything you want. Quarterback.
You're going to start. Like it's he's the only one we really don't need to talk about because he's going to start.
Your only other
So there's
option is Will Levis. And look, for highlight purposes and entertainment purposes, of like this will make watching the Titans at least hilarious for me. I want Will Levis to start, but I can't watch a Titans game with Will Levis anymore.
this is Cam
And
Ward's
I'm not a
team.
Titans
Yeah,
fan.
yeah, this is Cam
Yeah.
Ward's team now. But there's one more missing, and yeah, there's one more missing. No, two more actually. Two more.
Who's your
Seattle
team? Go ahead and
Seahawks.
say it.
Seattle Seahawks. Jalen Milroe
Nope.
from Alabama.
Nope. Mute. I'm muting you. We're not talking. Listen, okay? We're not talking about the worst quarterback in the history of the University of Alabama. That
This
piece
is college.
of shit bum.
That was
Can go
hold on.
away
That
and
was
can go to hell.
college.
He can
This
go to
is
hell.
NFL.
I
This is
care.
NFL.
I don't
Well,
care.
all right. I'll talk. I'll talk.
He can't throw the football. He can't read a defense. He can't throw a football. And look, here's what's funny. This motherfucker thinks he's going to go teach players how to play quarterback. He can't play the position himself. He is a running back built like a linebacker, and that's all he is.
So
I like Jalen Milroe as a person. I feel bad for his family that he exists and that they have to deal with him every day. But,
okay,
you know,
okay. Too much. That's too.
I
All right,
feel bad
look,
for his
guys.
parents.
All right, look, guys. So being more professional,
If you're
Jalen
talking about
Milroe. Oh my gosh. All right, so going back to Jalen Milroe, obviously he's at Seattle. He's going to have a chance to at least compete for the second string quarterback behind Sam Darnold because they brought in Sam Darnold. They signed him to 3 years after the year he had with Minnesota last year. So he's competing to at least be the backup behind Sam Darnold. Now, depending on what happens with Sam Darnold, even though he had that really good season with Minnesota last year, that was an MVP caliber season, there is a chance that Sam Darnold, with the history that he's had with
Milroe
the
will
Jets,
not be the backup. He may not even be on the goddamn roster. And if there is a God, he won't be on the roster because God will not punish me by making me watch Seahawks games with Jalen fucking Milroe at quarterback. I can't do it. I dealt with it for 2 years at Alabama. I can't do it again. Listen, as a human being, Jalen Milroe might be a great guy. As a football player, he needs to apologize to his family.
Lord have mercy, help us. But like I said, there's one more quarterback missing from the quarterback class, and that's Oregon's Dylan Gabriel. So Dylan Gabriel.
He ain't gonna be on the roster. I don't want to hear that. He ain't gonna be on the roster.
So
Either
Dylan Gabriel
getting cut.
So I would say the quarterback that I'm looking forward to the most is obviously Shedeur Sanders. And what you're saying about Jalen Milroe, you're going to have to cut it down because I made a video about this on TikTok. NFL, why the hell did you wait until Shedeur Sanders was drafted in the 5th round? The 5th freaking round. Shedeur Sanders, who had the worst offensive line in college football all last year, who had the best QB rating of all quarterbacks last year, who threw over 30 freaking touchdowns, was drafted in the 5th round. And he was the second best quarterback in the draft besides Cam Ward. Why was this man? Because of his dad.
Nope.
That's why.
Nope. It's because of his attitude.
And he has no attitude. He has no attitude. That's the thing.
Hold on. It's his attitude and his cockiness. Now, I'm not saying it's right, because Baker Mayfield was more cocky when he came out and got drafted number 1 overall by the Browns. But that's what it is. It's Shador's attitude and his cockiness, and the fact that teams were scared, coaches were scared, that Dion, which, by the way, prayers to Dion. I heard he's going through some health stuff. Hope he's okay. But they were scared that Dion would take the head coaching job if Shador got drafted. You know where he would have been really good at? You know where he really would have been good at? Instead of being in fucking Cleveland? And I would be entertained to watch this, really just for the media purposes. The Cowboys. He'd be great there, wouldn't he? Even as a backup to Dak Prescott, he would have been great.
It just really still boggles my mind that the second best quarterback in the draft was drafted in the 5th fucking round. That's
okay,
crazy.
But also there's this though. There's also this. You have to remember this. What does okay? So let's talk about it. So Cam Ward, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Milroe,
Gabriel.
I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I said Milroe because I thought I was taking credit for something.
Oh, we're missing someone. We're missing someone.
Tyler
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. Hold on. But let's talk about those 6 right there. The ones that went before Shador. Think about it this way. What do all 6 of those quarterbacks have in common that Shador doesn't have? They're all athletic. And they all have uncoachable traits. Shador has coachable traits as a passer, but he's also, because of who his dad is, because he was coached by his dad, because of the people around him, like Tom Brady and other people that helped him privately in workouts, Shador is a finished product. He's at his ceiling. So there's nothing about him that is special because he's got no coachable or uncoachable traits. Will Howard is massive. Jackson Dart's athletic. Milroe can run. And he's built like a goddamn linebacker.
Cam Ward has a strong arm.
Cam Ward can also make anything out of a play because he's compared to who? Patrick Mahomes. He can do the sidearm throws and he can do all the special stuff. The guys that got drafted ahead of Shador have uncoachable traits. Shador doesn't. That's why he fell. It had nothing to do with his dad or what kind of person he was. It's the NFL, the way it is now, you have to have an uber athletic quarterback to be able to do anything.
I would disagree. I would disagree because
the pocket passers have died out outside of Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is athletic when he wants to be. But outside of Rodgers and Stafford
and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins.
Good quarterback. But he has nothing uncoachable about him.
And he was never athletic. And got that big money.
Stafford is considered a pocket passer.
But he has a strong arm.
Yeah. But again, though, and Rodgers, pocket passer, but a strong arm. Kirk is, to me, Shador Sanders and Kirk Cousins are the same person. Flacco and Shador are the same person. They're mentally strong. They know what they're doing. They're good decision makers. But nothing about them says, I can't coach that and I have to have it. Everybody else has uncoachable traits.
And can get polished.
Yes.
Well, you rant. Are you done ranting about JM? You're done ranting about him?
I know what JM means. Listen, that bomb should be in the CFL for all I care. Go to Canada. You know why? You know why? Because nobody watches Canada. You know what? Actually, Rodney, I'm going to take you off the screen real quick because I got something to say.
Oh my God.
Okay, Jalen Milroe, this is a message from me to you, and I hope to God you see it. I really, really do. You ruined my fucking life, you piece of shit fucking bum. You know what you're good at? Running. You know what you're not good at? Everything that has to do with being a quarterback. Everything you're good at is nothing to be in a quarterback. You're a piece of crap quarterback. You're garbage. And honestly, the Seahawks drafting you just goes to show how stupid that front office is. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, looked at you and said you're an NFL quarterback. The dumbass Alabama football fans out there that still think Jalen Milroe was good, you didn't watch the fucking games, or you're just blind to the fact that he sucked, or you don't want to admit that Ty Simpson's going to be better. You know what I think's happened with Ty? We're going to win a national championship. You know what Jalen Milroe cost us 2 years in a row? A national fucking championship. You know who else Jalen Milroe lost to 2 years, 2 times in the same year? Michigan. And this year's Michigan team wasn't that good. They were a piece of shit garbage team. You're back.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to get off of the Milroe train.
All right. On to the next thing.
Rodgers is officially a Steeler, but is he bought in? He said today in the media that he told the team that he's fully bought in. I call bullcrap.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. I don't think, listen, I like Rodgers I think he's a funny person.
But
he's entertaining as hell to listen to.
But,
and this is the big but. He's 41 years old, and he's coming off of a torn Achilles 2 years ago.
Right.
And more importantly, I thought he was going to retire. I was hoping he would retire. It's time. Listen, he is not, look, the numbers have not been good. He's been a good quarterback, but the numbers have shown that he sucked.
Right.
But
he's trying to do what Tom Brady did. That's the thing. He's not Tom Brady. He's not.
Hold on. Carter commented. He didn't quit. I fired his ass, and then I brought him back because you keep saying, no, you don't want to be on the podcast. So I had to find a replacement. So you've been replaced. That's what happened. Which is accurate. I did. I told you I think we're done. And then, here we are. We're back.
Anyways.
See, I never posted that message. I was going to quit. But then I realized, you still watch my videos. So why would I quit?
He should have quit. Well, not you, Nick, but just like Aaron Rodgers should have quit. Because why is Aaron Rodgers still playing? So let's talk about it. So let's get out the way. Number one, Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. Let's get that out the way. He is a freaking asshole.
Hold on.
Hear me out. This man is literally going almost the exact same route as Brett freaking Favre. Listen,
no.
He played a long career. He played a long career with the Packers. Multiple MVPs, a Super Bowl. Then when he starts to go down with the team, what happens? He wants to leave the Packers. He signs with the Jets. Then what happens? Sucks with the Jets. And then he goes to another team. Now, the only difference is he didn't sign to the Vikings, but that was a team he wanted to go to. But Minnesota was not interested in him.
Hold on, though. You have to remember this one thing. There's one thing about Brett Favre that Brett did that Aaron didn't do. Brett Favre retired and then came back to play with the Packers.
With the Jets. He retired twice. Twice.
Yeah. So if anybody was doing the Brett Favre thing, it was Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady retired after 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then came back like 2 months later because he didn't want to wash his own clothes. That was that. So if anybody did the Brett Favre thing, it was Tom Brady. But Aaron Rodgers, something else Aaron does that Brett didn't do. Aaron Rodgers is friends with Pat McAfee. Brett Favre tried to sue Pat McAfee.
Because of the situation going on with his daughter and the
we are not getting into because I am not getting sued by Brett Favre because he will sue me, and I don't want to get sued by Brett Favre. Brett, I don't know what this man's talking about. Okay, I have nothing but respect for you as a quarterback and as an NFL Hall of Famer and as a legend. Are you a piece of shit human? Yes.
He cheated on his wife. He cheated on his wife.
Hold on, though. We don't know the full context of the story. Brett could have. Maybe Brett didn't cheat. Maybe she lied. We don't know what actually happened. Okay? We can't just assume things. Brett, we got no problem.
He sent nude pictures on the jet. He sent nude pictures. You remember that story?
I don't remember that story, actually. I'm a little worried that you do.
But like I said with Rodgers, man.
You've been looking at the nude pictures? You've been looking at nude pictures of dudes? Is that what you've been doing?
Anyways.
You remembered it.
Because that's not the case. That's not the case. Yeah, anyways, back to Rodgers. I don't think this is going to work. And also, in the division that he's in, this is arguably, probably is the hardest division of quarterbacks. Look at the quarterbacks. You got two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. You got the guy that should have won MVP last year, Joe Burrow, and then possibly Shedeur Sanders. Possibly.
But here's the thing, though. You have to remember this. Let's look at the totality of the situation. The Bengals' defense sucks. The Ravens' defense, it's good, but it's not the 2000s.
Right.
The toughest defense in that division is Cleveland.
It's the Browns.
Because they have Myles Garrett and Mason Graham.
Yep.
But the second toughest defense is the Steelers. With TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Patrick Queen. If they get TJ done, which they need to do. It needs to happen. I'm tired of that.
But then here's the thing, though. Just like what the Steelers have done for so many years, the Steelers' defense bailed out the offense. And in order for Pittsburgh to be successful, not only in their division, but in this season, the defense cannot too many times have to bail out Aaron Rodgers. And I fear that's what's going to happen.
No, I agree. I think so. My thing is this. I think the offense will be better because they do have DK Metcalf. What old lady are you talking about? You talking about the interview I did 2 days ago with another content creator? She's not old. What old lady are you talking about?
Back to Rodgers. Don't get off track. Back to Rodgers.
Well, I'm very confused as to what old lady he's talking about. By the way, I don't know if you can see it, but on my screen, I can see the chat actually popping up.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah. And not just see it on like the comment thing. I can actually see it on the screen. So I do like that they added that. So I can actually see that sounded bad. Yeah, you can't call people old that you don't know that they're old. They're not old. She's not old.
But don't let it get you off track. Back to Rodgers. Back to the
Rodgers thing. My thing is this. You look at Joe Burrow's better, yes.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson is better.
Yes.
That's in the division. That's just the two in the division.
Right.
I'm not going
That's
to count
half.
the Browns quarterback room yet. I'm not going to count the Browns quarterback room yet because we don't know who the starter will be yet for them.
It's possibly going to be Shador. It's possibly going to be
think
Shador.
It'll be Shador. We
Right.
think it'll be Shador, but we're not 100% sure on it.
Right.
So Burrow and Jackson are better.
Obviously.
Josh Allen is better.
Obviously.
Mahomes.
And if you're talking right now, also in the AFC,
right now.
you could also throw in freaking Justin Herbert in the conference.
I'm naming the quarterbacks that I think right now on paper are better than what Aaron Rodgers is right now.
In just the AFC? Yep.
Yeah, this is AFC. Bo Nix.
After 1 year.
I think he's better. I think he's better than what if we were talking 5 years ago. I wouldn't say that, but I think now he's better.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. AFC. I think right now, and not knowing who the quarterback is, I think Daniel Jones would be better than Aaron Rodgers.
I will not. Yeah, no. Can't give you that one. I think
he would be.
I can't. No.
Justin Fields?
No.
You don't. Hold on. You don't think Justin Fields is better than Rodgers is right now?
He hasn't shown. With the same team.
We just talked about though the rookie quarterback.
But hold on. Hold on. He got replaced by the same team last year for an old man.
But here's the thing though. The Steelers wanted Justin Fields. Justin went to the Jets because of his relationship with Garrett Wilson. They had to settle for Rodgers because they wanted Fields, and Fields said no. They never wanted Rodgers. Rodgers wanted the option. Fields wanted.
But last year he got replaced by another old man in Russell Wilson. And guess what happened? Russell Wilson took him to the playoffs and had better numbers.
Hold on though. He took them to the playoffs, but what happened? They went on a 5-game losing streak at the end of the year and lost the playoff game by a blowout to the Ravens.
But Russell Wilson had better numbers, though. He had better numbers, Russell Wilson.
Because he played longer. Because Fields only had 6 starts. And Fields had them at 4-2 before Russell came back from his injury and took over. It was Russ's job to have anyway. Fields just took over for him and went 4-2 in the first 6 games. And I think had they kept Fields in and not put in Russ, I think that team last year without DK Metcalf, that Steelers team last year with Justin Fields, with Najee Harris, with Jaylen Warren, plus that defense, I think that team last year would have at least, because what were they last year? What, 10-7?
Yeah, 10-7.
I think 12-5 with Fields.
The numbers wise, he wasn't that good. Even though they were winning, his numbers were not good.
Here's the thing, though. The issue.
He was a game manager at best.
But Fields had. But hold on, though. Fields had something that Russ couldn't do, and that Rodgers can't do.
Run.
He is athletic, and he can run.
Yeah.
And when he was on the field, it made them more of a threat to run the ball, which is what Arthur Smith's offense was all about. The play action. Justin Fields fits that better than Rodgers does because Fields is actually a risk at running. He's actually a threat. Rodgers is not going to threaten anybody by running. Now, look, you can tell me all you want that Fields won't be as good as Rodgers. I think he will. I think he'll be week one. Hold on, week one, Jets versus Steelers. It'll be a revenge game for Fields and a quote unquote revenge game for Rodgers. I think Fields outplays Rodgers in that game. I think the Jets win in dominating fashion in that game, and I think Justin Fields makes the Steelers regret not offering him more money because he went to the Jets for two reasons: his relationship with Garrett Wilson, and the Steelers didn't want to offer him what he could make on the open market.
We'll have to wait and see.
The Steelers had to settle for Rodgers. People forget that. The Steelers settled for the 41-year-old quarterback. They didn't want him originally. They went and got him because Fields said no, and because Russell Wilson went to the Giants. But they also didn't want Russ. They wanted Fields. And if you'll remember, Arthur Smith wanted Fields when he was in Atlanta. But the Bears said no to a trade. But let's get into the next story. Mandatory minicamp holdouts and hold-ins. And Remix Boy, I see your comments. I am not going to show them on screen, like pull them up, and I'm also not going to react to them and or reply to them because this is a sports channel and we talk about sports here, nothing else regarding anything else in the world. It's just sports. So if you're trying to come in here with political views or homophobic or gay views, please leave because we are not going to be discussing those, and we don't discuss those. Thank you. Respectfully. Rodney, you want to add anything to that? Because I've seen it. I've seen them pop up. The last three messages have been from.
Yeah, I've seen it too. I'm pretty much the same thing. Respectfully, we're a sports channel, guys, and we're just here to talk sports, have fun, and just try to bring in a positive mood to everybody. We try to stay away from all that political stuff and whatnot. So we're not here for all of that. So I'm the same way, but yeah, I want to get to these holdouts, man.
I just want to say it because if somebody wants to see the video and they obviously will see the comment pop up on the side of the screen, I don't want them to think that we ignored them. We're not ignoring it. We just don't talk about that stuff, and I want to make that clear.
Right.
But mandatory minicamp, the holdouts have been Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, 2 pass rushers. We've had Terry McLaurin.
Yep. Jonas Smith. Jalen Ramsey, who's trying to get traded.
Okay, but Johnny Smith was, hold on. Johnny Smith is an excused absence because the team told him to stay away while they try to get him a trade deal because he wants a new contract, but the team is trying to trade him. So they actually told him to stay away. So he's only holding out because the team told him not to come. He wants to be there.
And then someone that we already mentioned is Shamar Stewart, who we already mentioned.
Shamar Stewart is a hold-in, technically. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I do want to talk about, though, Trey Hendrickson and TJ Watt. Look, I get it. $40.5 million is a lot of money. And that's how much would go, I think, is it $40 million is Myles Garrett's contract? $40 million?
I think the contract that he signed is going to be $40 million a year.
Yeah, I believe Myles Garrett's a $40 million contract. That's great for Myles, by the way.
Right. He deserves it. He deserves it.
Steelers don't want to pay TJ Watt that because of age, and I understand that. But at the same time, it's
TJ Watt. It's TJ Watt.
But also, he's the number 2 behind Trey Hendrickson in sacks the last 2 years. And it's 40. All you'd have to do is pay $40.5 million. That would be the number to get to. I think
and he's not that old.
But also, though, I don't think TJ would want to. I think TJ would be happy taking would have been. I don't know if he will be now because of how long it's taken, but I think if they had gotten it done sooner, he would have taken a team friendly deal and kind of a hometown discount.
And he's
I
not
think because
that
he's making
old. That
28 million. He's making
he,
28 million now, or going to make 28 million this year. He could
he's
have.
he's only 30, so he's got some time. He's only 30.
Yeah. You can give him, I'd say 35 million probably the number that TJ would be okay with.
So
Now. Now I
so
don't
let me
know that
ask
sure.
this.
I think now TJ would want more.
So okay, so remember, he had an extension in 2021. It was 4 years, 112 with 80 million guaranteed. So what do you
But if
think
you'll
is a
remember,
number? What's a good number for TJ right now?
but for TJ though, go back to that contract from 2021. Do you remember how that got done? He fired his agent, went in there and just told them, I'll sign the deal. Because that was the deal on the table. The agent was trying to get more money for TJ, and TJ didn't want to wait. He didn't want to have to deal with all the off the field drama. So he went in there, basically kicked the door down to Mike Tomlin's office and said, where's the contract? I'll sign it.
But now the question is that what number? All right, so he got 112 in 2021. Okay, he's age 30. He's going to be 31 in October. What's a fair number for TJ? Is it 120, 115? Because he's going to
Annually, or you like the full totality of the contract?
the full totality, the totality.
Okay, what's his number now?
So he was at
Or it was?
112. He was at 112.
Okay, what is Myles Garrett and Max Crosby's number?
So
I know how much they're
Myles
making
Garrett,
yearly, but what's their?
Myles is 160. He signed for 160.
Okay, I would say TJ's what, the same age or maybe a year older than Myles?
30. So Myles is 29 and TJ
Okay,
is
so TJ's
30.
about a year older.
Yeah.
Okay, so TJ's almost a year older. Yeah. What about Crosby? What's his?
So Crosby, his contract that he got, so in 2022, he signed a 4 year 98 contract. And then this season, he got 3 years 106, which is 35.5 a year.
So his is at 106, and you said Myles is at what, 160?
160.
Okay, I think TJ's better than Max Crosby,
But he's not
production
better.
wise.
But he's not better than Myles.
Hold on, I'm gonna go in between it because you said it was 106 for Max and 160
Yes.
for Myles.
Right.
I'd say 120. 120.
I
What would that
agree.
put him at annually though?
So I
Because
would
that put
say
him
so.
right below Myles. Probably
So
about 38 million.
do you give him 3 years or do you give him 4 years?
I think with his age, you give him 3 years with a fourth year team option,
So if
like
you
a
give
player
him
option, where they can pick it up.
so if you give him 3 years, 120, that's going to be 40 a year.
Which would match Myles Garrett.
But Miles got 4 years.
But
Miles
the
got
thing about
4 years.
you add a fourth year, but it'd be like, because you know, like when they do the rookie contract, they have the 4 years and then the fifth year option.
Yeah.
Do something like that. 3 years with a fourth year option.
And then
But
Miles is
I think
getting 123 guaranteed. Miles is getting 123 fully guaranteed.
I would say about 100 million fully guaranteed for TJ.
And then another
The
thing you
number
got
being
to think about,
116.
and then the other thing with Miles is he has a no trade clause.
I don't think you add that with TJ because of his age. I don't think you do.
Right.
Because the only player above 30 that has that is Kirk Cousins.
Well, he's going to get traded this year. He's going to get traded though. Not right
I don't
now
know that.
because Kirk
I don't think
Cousins,
Kirk
he
should.
said because Kirk Cousins, he's one of the holdouts, no hold ins. He wants to get traded to somewhere where he's going to start.
Yeah, but nobody's going to trade for him. That's the thing. Nobody needs a quarterback anymore.
And Atlanta should have made the decision before he was going to get I believe it was a 10 or 12 million dollar roster bonus. They had the chance to
What they
cut
should have
him.
done,
They
they
should
should
have
have either
cut him.
cut him or
Yeah,
trade him before the draft, before teams got their quarterbacks.
but now they can't cut him
But
because they owe him 12 million.
yeah, because the owner was so hell bent on we're not trading him. Because Cleveland called about Kirk, and the owner said no. But also that contract, nobody's going to take that contract.
Right.
Not
But
for
but
quarterback
also
over 30.
we're forgetting something. So okay, so you said that TJ Watt should get 120. Okay,
Yep,
so what do you think that Trey Hendrickson should get? Because is it
130.
because here's the thing: is he on the level of Myles Garrett? Is he better than TJ Watt?
No, but production wise, he's led the NFL in sacks the last 2 years. And let's point this out. He's the only player on the defense that was worth the damn last year. So,
I
in
say
my
I
opinion,
say I say one. I say
130.
one. I would say probably between 125 to 130. He's not at the
I'd
level
say
of Myles
130.
Garrett. He's not at the
No,
level of
he's
Myles
not.
Garrett, obviously. I'll give
I
him
don't think he's at
130.
the level. I don't think he's at the level of TJ Watt or Myles Garrett. But production wise, he's right there with them. He's the sack king for the last 2 years.
Right.
So you have to look at it that way. So I think 130 is a good number. Annually, you're probably making 41 million a year, so you'll be above Miles and annual money. Give him the
But
same
but
thing to giving gives TJ 3 years with a fourth year player option. I think that's a good fair.
but here's the biggest thing though. There's two things that's holding Trey Henderson back. Number one, over $400 million. And let me say this again, guys. Over $400 million is being tied up to three players. Now, yes, they're one of the best at their positions, but over $400 million is tied up to three guys on the offense: Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. T.
Okay, but
Higgins
here's the thing
and
though.
by themselves, it's over 250 million right there combined for
Yeah,
Jamar Chase
I would
and
say
T.
this
Higgins.
though. I'd say this though, and you have to remember this. Yes, it's $400 million tied up in three players, but Joe Burrow is probably going to get an extension in the next year anyway.
He's going to
Probably.
have to restructure though. He might have to restructure though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to either restructure his deal next year or he's going to get an extension. Similar to what the Bills did with Josh Allen. By the Bills extending Allen again, they opened up a lot of money. When the Chiefs did it with Mahomes, they opened up a lot of money. So
But
either
here's
he'll have to
problem number
restructure.
two. Here's problem number two. Look at the team. Look at the owner. Mike
Oh, no.
Brown has always been a cheap ass owner.
This is the same
Always.
guy. Hold on. This is the same guy. We have to remember this. This is the same guy that let Chad Ochocinco walk.
Exactly. No, he
Because
traded
he
it.
didn't want to pay him.
He
That's right.
traded him. Yeah, he traded him.
Because he didn't want to pay him. Because he didn't want to pay him. We
Yeah,
all
he
thought T was
traded.
getting traded. We thought T was getting traded. We all knew Jamar was going to get paid because if Jamar got traded, Joe Burrow would have quit. If Jamar
Right.
Chase got traded, Joe Burrow would have walked out of that building.
And we thought that T. Higgins was going to sign somewhere else.
I thought
But
T was going to New England.
I said the same thing too. Because they had the most
Dude, I
money
even
out
had
of
like
everybody.
I had a tweet ready, like with a picture of T in a Patriots uniform. Like I was ready, and that
Because
tweet's
they
in my
had the
draft.
most money. They had the most money. They had the biggest cap space. So yeah, I understand why you did that. I understand.
But Trey is worth 130 million. 41 million annually. I would probably guarantee at 130, I'd probably guarantee 110 million of it to him. Fully guaranteed. And I'd give him the same deal I'm giving TJ Watt in Pittsburgh. 3 years with a 4th-year team option.
But now there's
because
one
of the
more
age,
player. Yeah.
But let's get at, but also though, what do you do? My question is though, what are the Commanders going to do with Terry McLaurin? Because they have to pay him.
They have to. Scary Terry.
See, my thing is, I'm surprised they're having this issue because they have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. So it's not like, unlike with the Bengals, where they have the big contract on Joe Burrow, the Commanders don't have that.
They got the money.
But they have the big contract with Deebo Samuel. And I think last year the receivers did such a good job coming up. Specifically, Luke McCaffrey did such a good job last year of making a name for himself in that offense. I think that they could end up trading McLaurin.
And that would be stupid. That would be absolutely stupid.
Oh no, I would agree. I agree. It would be an asinine thing to do. But I think that they're like, hey, we've got young receivers that we're not having to pay a lot of money to. We've got Deebo. Our defense has all the money tied up. It's almost the opposite of the Bengals, where the defense is the team that is part of the team that's got the most money into it. With Lattimore, Bobby Wagner, like you have a lot of guys that are tied up in the defense. Frankie Louvu, like
Is it Montez Sweat? Montez Sweat?
Deron Payne?
Montez?
Yeah, like they.
Oh wait, no, Montez Sweat is on the Bears. So never mind.
No, but Deron Payne.
Yeah,
got money tied up in him. Like that's the biggest one, Deron Payne, and then Lattimore. Because when the Saints traded Lattimore to them, they ate the contract for Lattimore. The Commanders did. So that's the two big ones, was Payne and Lattimore. But my thing is like, I think Scary Terry gets traded, or they do like a 1-year deal because he's got 1 year left on his contract. They could extend him out 1 more year and then try to see if they can get something done next year. But by next year, you probably have to pay Jaden Daniels because it'll be going into year 3, unless you want to get to that 4th year of his contract.
Well, the thing is with Deebo, he only has 1 year left of the contract that he signed with the San Francisco 49ers.
But so it's a lot of money. But it's a lot of money. And the 49ers didn't eat that. The Commanders are.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Right. Now,
remember, because the Niners traded Deebo so they could pay Brock Purdy.
Which I don't fucking understand. He's a game manager at best.
I do. Because they found a quarterback. And they've got 2 receivers on the team that are really good in Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall. So they look at it like they didn't need Deebo.
Now, we talked about the holdouts and the hold-ins. Now,
let's get it. I know where you're going. So hold on. Let me transition real quick because I know where you're going.
Yeah.
So I do think that as far as the Bengals are concerned, they need to pay Trey Hendrickson. But there's somebody else that they need to figure some shit out.
You got
They
one
need to,
player. I got the other player. So go ahead.
the rookies that have not signed. Let's talk. I'm going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about this ad nauseum because reading this article today, and then also watching everybody talk about it. At first, I was like, "Oh, this guy, he thinks that he's already made it. Like that's why he won't sign the deal. Maybe it's a money thing. No, it's not. So let me hold on. Let me share the screen here. Pull up the article. So Bengals first round pick Shamar Stewart says he will not practice until he signs his rookie contract, and that the only way he'll sign is if the Bengals change their stance about inserting a contract clause that he views as unfair to him. This is the quote from Stewart. In my case, I'm 100% right, so it should be a no-brainer, Stewart told reporters today in the Bengals locker room. The Bengals are insisting on a contract clause saying a default by Stewart in any year of the contract would void all remaining guarantees. The Bengals have never insisted upon such language before with their previous contracts. They have only made a void wipe out the guarantees for the year in which the default occurred. Or continued to say, I can't say what I really want to say, but it's their contract, so they can do what they want with it. Stewart says he wants to practice very bad, but will not practice until he signs his new contract. It's very important. You have to get your body prepared to play football, Stewart said. I thought I'd be on the field by now. That's what I want. Stewart said he'll do everything he can to prepare, but he won't practice and risk an injury while the Bengals are refusing to meet his contractual demands. I'll still go to meetings. I still study my playbook. Stewart said, I'm always ready to go. I've been staying ready to go. It's my job. I've got to be ready to go. Now, I want to get your opinion on this. And in a minute, we'll actually watch this video from Pro Football Talk, from Florio. We will actually watch the video from them in just a minute. But I do want to get real quick, I want to get your opinion. What do you think of all this? Because in my opinion, saying they want to sign a deal where if something goes wrong, like an injury or a suspension or something, they can void the contract and not pay him, I think that's ridiculous.
I'm on the same ballpark as well. I think that is very ridiculous because these players go through limb and body and mind and soul to play this game. And to
Yep.
say that, oh, if this guy gets hurt, we're not paying you. That's absolutely blasphemous. Because why would you not pay the guy that is trying to help you guys win? And you drafted this guy in the first round. You're going to have to pay him anyway. So for you to try to do that in his contract so that way you can avoid paying him when you got all this freaking money tied up to these players like we talked about in the first place, I don't
Yeah.
like that. I really don't
No.
like that.
And my thing is, when I first saw the report that he hadn't signed his contract and like why and stuff, in my mind, I was like, oh, he's a rookie that made millions of dollars at Texas A&M. He doesn't think that he has to do this. That's why he's not doing it. That's not why. It's because of the void thing in the contract, which, by the way, his agent is only like 30-something years old. He's like a new agent, and he's super young. Credit to his agent for being like, yo, you're not signing this. I don't care what they tell you. Also, even more so though, credit to Shamar Stewart for being there because he hasn't signed the contract. So technically, he's not on the team. So he doesn't have to be there, and they can't fine him because he's not a contracted player to their roster. It's
Right.
different than like Trey Hendrickson and T.J. Watt because Shamar Stewart could sit out and he's not under contract. Like Marcus Spears said this on NFL Live earlier. When he was a rookie and his deal wasn't done yet in Dallas, his agent told him, hey, man, go to your uncle's house in California, chill out, hang out. Don't come around until after it's signed. And that's what he did. And then it eventually got signed. But, like, that's my thing, bro. Like, you got to pay him.
Right.
Now, I do want to watch, if I can get the audio to play, I want to watch the video of Mike Florio and Chris Sims talking about it. Because I do want people to hear what they had to say. Because I thought what they had to say was very interesting. It's only like a 3-minute video. So let's see if I can actually get it to play.
Of all drafted rookies that signed their contracts.
Yeah, right.
There's no reason to delay. The contracts basically negotiate themselves. However, if you don't have your contract, and I think that any player should take this position. I want my contract. Yeah. I don't want some letter of protection. I don't want some clause that, what about this? Give me my contract, give me my guarantee, and then I will show up for the rookie minicamp. And I fully support anyone who says, I'm not practicing under any set of circumstances until I have my contract.
Right.
Shamar Stewart and Demetrius Knight, first and second round pick, respectively, for the Bengals, refuse to participate in on-field drills because they don't have their contracts. And the letter of protection isn't good enough. So, hey, if you want me to act like an employee, treat me like one. Make me one.
Yeah.
You want me to work for you? Put me on the payroll.
That's right. I mean, first off, they're being advised to do this by people that are professionals, an agent that's going, wait, this isn't in the best interests of you. So this is not like they're just going, oh, I understand business now and I'm doing that. This is the right thing to do. This is what I don't like too. These are two picks that have been scrutinized in Cincinnati, right? Shamar Stewart has this thing going around of, I can't believe you drafted him. He only had 1.5 sacks, right? And we talked about all of that in the draft process. He's an F the play up guy. He is one of the safest picks in the draft, let alone he has the biggest potential to be a superstar maybe out of like some of the top guys in the draft. He can be that guy. They need these guys to play right now. Like Shamar Stewart needs to be on the field working, getting reps. He's going to start this year. They don't have anybody up the opposite side of Trey Hendrickson, which they still haven't figured out. Jermaine Pratt wants to be traded. That's why they drafted this Demetrius Knight. He is NFL ready to go right now and can play. So what I don't like is, why does Cincinnati do this? One, you know your player. First off, like you said, this is as simple as it gets as far as the business of the NFL. The contracts basically write themselves. Okay, you know that your picks have been scrutinized, and I'm being called by people in their media all the time. Can you come on and talk about the picks and do all this? You know, because I know you like these guys and stick up for them and all this. And now you're going to lay this on them too. Now they have to hear this from the fan base. Oh, wait, we don't like that we picked you, and now you're not practicing for our football team. And I just don't know why the Bengals can't get out of their damn selves, get out of their way. Sometimes they can't get out of their own way, is what I'm trying to say.
My understanding is they offered Shamar Stewart a contract.
Yeah.
But that the training camp roster bonuses in the future years, because that's a device they use when it's the guaranteed money. They get most of it in your pocket with the training camp roster bonus, and then your salary is reduced. The percentage split between training camp roster bonus and salary was smaller this year for the 17th overall pick than it was last year.
Okay.
And my understanding is they just picked an arbitrary number. It's like, no, you need to do the same percentage.
Right.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm. There's a pattern.
Yes,
there's a
right.
17th pick this year gets a little bit more than the 17th pick last year. So they should be able to work this out. They should be, but it's the Bengals. And Bengals do Bengals things.
Yeah.
And that makes it even more conspicuous when it happens. But don't get on the practice field, rookies, until you get your contract. I'm surprised 100% of them haven't signed. There is no reason to delay. There are very few things to negotiate. And if you want me to set foot on the field and take a risk that I'm going to get injured, give me, especially for first rounders, full 4 years guaranteed in case the worst case scenario happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was what they said. And I wanted everybody to hear that because I found it very interesting when I watched the video. After watching that and obviously hearing about the article, what is your opinion on it?
The Bengals are just, I really just, besides what I already said about the Bengals, they are a just like the Browns, almost like the Browns. They are the front office is just very, very terrible.
Very
Just
stupid.
very stupid, very terrible, and there's really not much to say because it's literally right there. They literally said it. I said it. You said it. This just doesn't make any sense at all. I
But
mean,
also, like, they made a point to also say, and I read in the article, they've never done this before, and no NFL team has ever done this before.
this is
isn't like
NBA stuff. This is like stuff that you would see in the NBA,
like the
not the.
MLB. Like this is not.
This
This is
is
not
not the
NFL.
NFL, right?
And honestly, dude, I'm not kidding when I say this. If there was a team that was going to do this, after everything we've seen the last 2 years, I'm not surprised it's the Bengals.
Right.
But also, I didn't even know Demetrius Knight hasn't signed yet. By the way, they released Jermaine Pratt. So, has Demetrius signed now? Like, because I don't know when that video was recorded, but I believe it was today because the article was posted, I believe, today.
Well, here's one thing that is probably the biggest story of a rookie that's not been signed, but he's not the biggest name that hasn't been signed.
Which, by the way, you told me this, I was surprised about.
Because I'm still shocked that he hasn't been signed. But guys, the biggest name that hasn't been signed is the current Heisman Trophy winner himself, Travis Hunter.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. So when you told me that, I was very surprised because he's been on the field.
Shocked.
He's on the field. He's doing everything. Like he's doing the wide receiver and cornerback drills. He's not missed a day. He's not like he's working. So I just assumed he was signed.
I was shocked myself because I thought he was already signed as well. But and the things that I'm thinking about, okay, he just got married. He spent $600,000 on a new Jeep for his wife, who I think is terrible. He bought a $3 million house in Jacksonville.
Pause. We don't need to talk about his personal life and his marriage and all that. That's separate from football. We don't need to be saying that opinion.
My bad. So he got a $3 million house in Jacksonville now. I thought he was signed already because Cam Ward's already been signed. Mason Graham's already been signed. Abdul Carter has already been signed. Because if you look at the top 32 picks, only 5 have not been signed yet. And he's the highest selected that has not been signed yet. And it still boggles my mind because I thought, okay, we made the trade to get you from number 5 to number 2. I thought they would have signed him by now. I'm thinking he's going to get probably 40 something because Abdul Carter, I believe, got 45 fully guaranteed.
Yeah,
I'm thinking I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I took the liberty of looking up the contract of what's projected. So Travis Hunter's rookie contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars is projected to be a 4-year deal worth approximately $46.65 million, including a $30.6 million signing bonus. This contract also includes a team option for a 5th year. Key points: total value $46.65 million, signing bonus $30.6 million. 5th year option. The Jaguars hold a team option for a 5th year of the contract. Position as a two-way player, wide receiver and corner. Hunter's contract will have unique implications under the NFL's CBA, particularly regarding performance-based pay and incentive bonus. So that's probably what's holding it up, is because he's a two-way player, they have to structure it differently with the CBA. For if he gets X amount of receiving yards, but X amount of interceptions or something like that.
Just sign the man, bro.
But the CBA allows for incentive based on individual or team accomplishments. So that's probably what it is the CBA, because they have to structure it differently.
All I gotta say is, to my lasting point for it is, just sign the man. Y'all made the effort to trade for him from 5 to 2. Just sign him and get it over with.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
But see, I don't. No, I agree, but reading that, it does seem like it's a CBA thing as opposed to a team thing. Like, I think the Jaguars would like to sign him, but they have to be careful about it with the way the CBA is. So the NFLPA is probably the ones holding it back until they can figure out how to do all the incentive stuff with the CBA.
I know one thing: Travis Hunter ain't finna play for free. I know that for sure.
Oh no! Look, he might be practicing, but once we get to training camp and there's pads on, ain't no way he's playing. There's no way he'll go out there.
Right. Right.
His family won't let him.
Right.
His family ain't gonna let him.
Right.
But that's all we have for tonight, though. I want to talk about the Shamar Stewart stuff because that stuff just shocked me. That he hadn't, of the way that deal was being structured. Hopefully it gets done. Hopefully Trey Hendrickson gets done and TJ Watt gets done. And Terry McLaurin and anybody else who's out there that's seeking a new contract. James Cook, he's another hold-in where he's at minicamp.
Micah Parsons. We didn't even mention Micah Parsons.
Because we know with Micah, here's what's going to happen. It'll be opening day, about an hour before the Cowboys game, and he'll sign his contract. Just like Dak did last year. Do you remember that, dude? 4 hours before the game, Dak signed his contract.
I remember that.
They flew him out on the team plane with the contract, and he signed it in Cleveland. In the locker room. That'll happen with Micah. Micah's going to sign it, just going to be late. But I'm very surprised about the Shamar Stewart stuff. And, Mike Florio and Chris Sims, they were right. He's getting a bad rap in the city because he's not practicing. He only had 1.5 sacks in his career at A&M. But he can do something that Trey Hendrickson is good at, but it didn't really work out for him last year because the defense was so bad. Shamar Stewart can create sacks for other players because he's so destructive. So I do hope they get it done. But that's all I've got for tonight, man. Do you got anything else you want to say before we end the stream and log off?
Nah, I think we pretty much already covered everything that we needed to.
Yeah. Again, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. It's completely free to do so. I will never ask you to pay to watch my content. Thank y'all for the ones that do subscribe and that do watch. Hopefully we'll get more. We will be doing these maybe not every week. I know we'll be back next Monday. We'll have 2 guests on, very special guests. I'm looking forward to announcing that. Again, we may not do these every week because the summer, yes, it's training camp, but it's also kind of a dead period until July. We'll have the 3-day mini camp, and then they'll be done. So we'll probably do something mini camp next week, recapping the 3 days. But, the last couple weeks of June probably won't do much. And then in July, when they start doing training camp, we start getting closer to the preseason. We'll be doing one probably every week. So we are back. We had a nice break. Rodney, I hope you enjoyed your break from streaming for 3 months, which, dude, honestly, bro, I needed the break from streaming because streaming every week was getting a little bit difficult and a little bit stressful. But we will be back. We are looking forward to the NFL season. And one last thing, pay TJ Watt, Pittsburgh. Just pay him. if listen, if I was Omar Khan, I would back the money truck up to TJ's door and just dump every penny they've ever made since TJ got drafted at his door. You know why? Because he's the reason people come to Pittsburgh.
True.
And if you're the Bengals, if you're a Bengals fan, I'm sorry. You need to find a new team.
Right.
If you're a fan because of Joe Burrow, don't worry. He'll probably be gone in another couple years anyway.
Damn.
Because, well, they did the same with Carson Palmer.
Touche.
Here's another thing. I do want to mention this. So they don't have Shamar Stewart signed. They don't have Trey Hendrickson's extension done. Sam Hubbard retired. They released him, and then he retired because he didn't want to play for anybody else but the Bengals. So my question is, what was their plan B with releasing Hubbard? Because you'd think by releasing Hubbard, they would have had Shamar Stewart signed, and they didn't. So,
beats me.
Dude, this NFL season is going to be crazy. NFL season is going to be crazy. And if we get to September and Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson are not under contracts with the bank, like long-term contracts with the Bengals, I'm genuinely going to be like, you know what, Miami, call Shamar Stewart, pay him, just sign him, because he's technically a free agent.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Bengals, but he's not under a contract. So technically, anybody could pick him up and pay him. He's effectively, it's weird. He's like a drafted free agent. You know, they have undrafted free agents. He's a drafted free agent. Where they spent draft capital on him, but they haven't signed him yet. So technically, he could walk. And again, credit to him for even being in Cincinnati and being at camp, because he doesn't have to be.
Right.
But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching the stream. Thank you for commenting. The ones that did comment. Some of them we are not going to acknowledge. Some of them we will. And make sure to be back next Monday. We will be live. We may go live next Tuesday as well. We'll just have to play it by ear and see where both of us are at. Especially because we're doing a live on Monday, so we'll see. But thank you guys for watching, subscribing. Make sure to follow Rodney on TikTok and Instagram. And we're back. We had a break, and now we're back.